Welcome back. So Parliament's National Council of Provinces has centered its Africa Day celebrations this year around trade and optimizing economic growth on the continent. The official founding of the African Union is said to be commemorated this Sunday, with several events being held on the continent to call for unity among nations and foster a sense of pan-Africanism. But what role can the NCOP play to that end? Well, let's speak to Deputy Chair Les Govender, who joins us now via our video link. And Les, great to have you with us. Thanks very much indeed for making time. And, you know, in many instances, there's so much to say about even the roles that parliaments on the continent can play to foster that unity and pan-Africanism. But help us place specifically what role the NCOP is going to play to that end.
Good morning to you, Ayanda, and your listeners on 404. Thank you for having me on the program. I think, the role that the NCOP plays is vital in the sense that we want to ensure that we take Africa on board as a leading country on the African continent. And to this end, we hosted a magnificent event yesterday with the being the first event to kickstart our P20 program. And we were very fortunate in that we had some very high-profile speakers that participated. And the kind of information that they imparted to us really gives us hope in terms of what can be achieved on the African continent.
Yeah, and just for the benefit of our viewer, the P20 is essentially, if you like, part of the G20 arrangement and its interactions between parliaments who are part of this group of 20 nations, if you follow what I mean. That was my best attempt at the definition, Les. But with that in mind, then, I know that there's been a big focus on the African Continental Free Trade Area, this mechanism that was essentially meant to create one market in Africa. And I wonder what came up in this P20 gathering, for lack of a better term, given just how long-standing the plans to get this right are.
And we were very fortunate that we had Professor Eddie Maloka as our keynote speaker. Now, Professor Maloka comes with a wealth of experience, wealth of knowledge, and he outlined to us the Africa Free Trade Area Agreement and what it can do to benefit countries across the continent. But he bemoaned the fact that country conflicts are the stumbling block to achieving the kind of economic benefits that can be achieved through this agreement. And, he was very specific in the way he pointed out some of the countries that have done very well post-colonialism, the countries that have done very well after shaking off the apartheid era, like we have done. But he sort of asked the question, why is it that when people are elected into positions of power, they tend to forget that they are there to serve the people that elected them, and they become self-serving? And I think that is something that we need to ask ourselves, and leaders across the African continent need to ask themselves, why are they there in that position of power, and how they can benefit the people that they are called upon to serve.
Well, Deputy Chair, can I put you on the spot and interrogate what you reckon the response to that question is?
Well, I can tell you that from the NCOP point of view, we are leading this drive to say, let us revisit the very framework of the Africa Free Trade Agreement. Let us revisit all the other mechanisms that are in place and see how we can ensure that we are successful in benefiting the economies across Africa. And I think to a large extent, we will be successful, especially, having heard from the ambassador, the SA ambassador to the EU, Her Excellency Kasa, as well as the IPU president, Dr. Axon, who is the first African woman to be the IPU president. Now, with that kind of mechanisms in place available to us, we are confident that we will be able to achieve the aims and objectives of the Africa Free Trade Agreement.
Sure. It'd be remiss of us to speak about Africa Day and what it means to grow the economy of the continent without speaking to the governance issues that are really clear for everyone to see. Parliament has a specific role to play insofar as that is concerned, not only our parliament in South Africa, but the parliaments of countries on the continent. And to what extent, Deputy Chair, do you reckon that parliaments are playing the roles that they should, given what's at stake here, as, you know, one of the arms of state?
Well, Parliament has it in their power to ensure that economic freedom becomes a reality across the continent. And we also had the Deputy Minister of Trade, Industry and the Competition, the Honourable Whitfield, and he also outlined how the linkages between the various governments across the African continent is benefiting trade and opening up the barriers of trade. And once we are able to do that across all the different countries, then we will find that there'll be a free flow of goods manufactured in Africa, benefiting the African countries all over. And I think also to export our manufactured goods to countries abroad will benefit the economies of various countries in Africa itself. And that is something that we are working towards. And we have even the Minister of Trade and Industries that is working very closely in that regard to ensure that no other country on the African continent is left behind, provided they are willing to work in coordination with us to bring trade to all the different countries across the continent. And I'm sure, you know, with that kind of leverage, with that kind of power that we have, we will be able to achieve that. And you know, the positive attitude that came across yesterday, because all of the people that we invited to take part in this debate yesterday, they were really enthralled by the kind of information that came from the various speakers. And we were so fortunate that we had such high-profile speakers that agreed to attend, to make the time to attend this lecture and give us the kind of information that we need. Because next week, Tuesday, we are going to have a debate on this very topic. And I'm sure that will be an excellent platform for various political parties to speak their minds in terms of how we can benefit all of Africa from the platform that we have in South Africa.
We absolutely look forward to it. The Deputy Chair of the National Council of Provinces is Les Govender. Sir, thanks very much indeed.